At the time, it didn't look like a turning point. Once, a young man was faced with a choice that would quietly shape his life. Sit with me for a moment and let me tell you a story. I didn't learn it from books, but from watching life unfold over many years. I'll tell you today a story about a very wise man I knew. His name was Karen. Karen used to live in a great trading city called Lydora. People talked about how rich he was, not just in his own city, but all along the trade routes that stretched from the harbors to the deserts. People were curious about how someone who had once been very poor could become so rich. I've seen this many times. People notice the outcome, not the long road that leads to it. Karen told me that one day, a poor young guy who looked a lot like his younger self came up to him. The young guy asked him, "I want to be rich like you one day. What should I do?" There was something familiar in that question, something I recognized immediately. Karen smiled, because when he saw that poor young guy, he remembered how he'd asked a merchant named Selvar long ago, "How can I become rich?" After looking at the young guy's face for a moment, Karen said, "As the saying goes, knowing how you earn your money is the key to keeping it." The young guy listened carefully. Karen carried on telling his story. "I was once just like you," he said. "I was young and just couldn't keep hold of what I'd earned. I didn't know what to do. I was still in my mid-20s. I was working as a laborer in a small iron workshop. I worked during the day, and in the evening, I spent the money I earned just to survive. Life felt busy back then, but looking back, it was simply slipping away. One day, a merchant called Selvar turned up at the workshop. He said he needed 30 iron stakes made by morning, but that job normally took 2 full days. Selvar turned to Karen and said, "If you make these stakes by morning, I'll pay you double." It sounded like an easy decision, but easy choices often carry hidden weight. Karen was up for it and got started. Selvar showed up again at around midnight. When he saw how many stakes had been made so far, he got angry, thinking they wouldn't be finished by morning. And right at that moment, Karen got an idea. He got all his courage together and said to Selvar, "I'll get the job done by sunrise, but I don't want double pay. I want you to teach me how to become rich." Selvar laughed. "You're as smart as you are hard-working, young man," he said. "If you're done by sunrise, I'll give you what you want." Karen worked until the early hours. His arms went numb from hammering iron. His eyes were almost closed from exhaustion. When Selvar got there, the order was ready. "Well done," Selvar said. "Now it's my turn to keep my promise." But Selvar only said this, "Pay yourself, young man." At first, they felt simple, too simple to matter. Karen was confused. "What do you mean?" he said. "Isn't the money I earn already mine?" Selvar shook his head. "Nah, you always earn money for other people. You pay others for the shoes you wear and the jacket you put on. The day you start paying yourself is the day you take your first step toward wealth." Then he added, "Try saving 1/10 of your earnings for yourself." And he left. Karen did exactly as he said. He put aside 1/10 of his earnings. A year later, Selvar came back. Karen told him he'd saved 12 gold coins. This time, Selvar explained the second step to wealth. "You've got to make your money work for you," Selvar said. So Karin gave the gold he'd saved to his friend, a mason, so they could buy silver jewelry from a distant city and sell it in Lydora to make more money. A bit later, when Selvar got back, he asked Karin how he'd invested his money. When Karin said he'd given it to his mason friend to buy silver jewelry, Selvar said, "That's a real shame, young man. I'm afraid your savings are gone." And that's exactly what happened. Mason friends of his had been cheated. It turns out the silver chests weren't real. The savings were lost. That loss stayed in his memory longer than any success. Karen told me it was on that day that he realized something important. Saving money isn't enough. You have to give it to someone who truly understands the work. He started saving again. 3 years later, Selvar came again. This time, Karin explained that he had given his money to a friend who was a tailor to buy silk fabrics and make high-quality clothing. When Selvar asked what had happened to the profit, Karin replied, "I spent it as I wished." Selvar smiled. "Now it's time to learn the final step to wealth, young man," he said. "Don't spend the profit from your savings. Make that work for you, too." Then he left. That was Karen's story. He told me this: "That day, I realized that instead of earning double pay, I had gained a lifetime of wealth. Some decisions don't change a day. They change a lifetime." So, my children, what did you think of this story? If you were in Karin, would you have taken the double pay and finished the job, or chosen to learn something instead? Have you thought about applying this story to your own life? Here's some advice from your grandfather. Why not start today by setting aside 1/10 of what you earn and putting your money to work? Maybe we can meet again in the comments after a year. And when the story ends, life keeps speaking, just not in words.